Well, again, my name's Gabe Zollner. You know what the first sign of insanity is? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. You've heard me say this on a couple of these previous videos. So I just watched a little bit of Fox News, and Obama is still on the fence on the Keystone Pipeline, but he's pushing full speed ahead for his green initiatives. You'd think with the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that he's trashed with his green energy initiatives that he'd sort of back off on that. But no, this guy is completely out of his mind. Oh yeah, green energy all the way. You know, someone needs to do an accounting of the billions of dollars he's put down the sewer for these green energy and how many of them failed. You know, when he's talking about these electric cars, well, I did a couple of videos on it, I think a few days ago. There's more emissions generated in the manufacture of an electric car than what a gas car produces in its lifetime. I mean, isn't that insane? I mean, we're talking about an electric car before it rolls off the assembly line produces 2.5 times more emissions because that's in the manufacturing process, mainly of the batteries. But and then you have to take into consideration what drives these electric cars, electricity. And where does that come from? Well, it comes from coal, and he's putting the kibosh on coal, and it comes from nuclear. And, you know, he's probably going to put a kibosh on that too real soon if he hasn't already. Either way, it doesn't make any sense. People that buy electric cars are really kidding themselves, you know. You see these ads, well, I only go to the gas station once a month. Yeah, well, look at your electrical bill. And you know what? It's not going to get any better. I mean, it's not. Electricity goes up all the time. This guy's got to go, you know. So now what they're saying is Congress is going to try to pass a bill where Congress can decide whether or not to move forward with the Keystone Pipeline. Problem is, if it's up to the Senate's controlled by whack jobs, you know. Harry Reid and Pelosi, well, Pelosi, where's she? She's in the House of Representatives, you know? Pelosi. And my ball's rolling around, spinning in her head. It's unbelievable. But this is, you know, that's what happens when you've got people that have lived their entire lives in Congress. They don't understand. They have no way of relating. It's not even their fault. You know whose fault it is? It's the American people for not recognizing this is what you get when you have people that have never worked for a living. And they determine what we should do, those of us that have worked for a living and do work for a living. Their whole focus is how can they tax us, you know? I mean, it's like this thing with the AR-15s. You know, I did a couple of videos on that. More people are killed with knives. Typically, on average, 3 or 4 to 5 times as many people are killed with knives versus rifles. And I'm talking about all kinds of rifles. I'm not talking about AR-15s, all kinds of rifles. So what do? Distract, divert, to deceive. Where should the focus be? On Benghazi. Why? Because that's the key. The key for what? To get rid of this usurper who's in the White House. Stay on Benghazi, and this madness can be brought to an end.